there is a wonderful story passed along about an incredible tightrope walker. And as one of the incredible feats that he was going to pull off, he was going to walk on the tightrope across Niagara Falls. The people gathered to see this spectacle. They stood there on the side, some on the side of the United States and others in Canada, watching as this man was attempting this tightrope walking experience. And little by little, he took his steps, balancing back and forth, until finally he had made it from one side to the other. And the crowds on both sides roared, so excited and filled with wonder at this great feat, this great accomplishment that he had carried out. Then he said, "I've got an umbrella. Do you think that I can cross this trapeze wire, this tightrope, with an umbrella?" Everyone responded, "Yes, yes, yes!" And they started cheering him on. So he started out with the umbrella, walking across this tightrope. And again, incredible success as he landed on the other side. Then from the crowd, he pulled out a wheelbarrow and said, "Do you think that I can cross on this tightrope with a wheelbarrow?" Everyone began saying, "Yes, yes, yes." And he turns to them and says, "Who would like to ride in the wheelbarrow?" The crowd went silent. And it is precisely in that place today that we land. We come into this space after the incredible hallelujahs and the witness of last week, in which we hear new life being made known and poured out for humanity, for creation, for the whole of the cosmos, in what happens in the life, the death, and the new life, the resurrection of Jesus as the Christ. And we cheer. We lift up our voices and we get excited. And yet there's something about coming this week and gathering with the disciples that is powerful. To find ourselves back in this space and wonder how we have maybe perhaps even in 6 days started to shut the doors. To believe that new life is a whole lot harder than the banners unfurled and the hallelujah being reclaimed. That new life becomes more challenging and we start to encounter the powers of this world that are going to shut us down. To tell us we're not good enough. That we are just a cog in the wheel. A commodity to be bought and sold. That our creation continues to struggle, to gasp for air as there is more pollution, as we continue to hear about the CO2 levels rising. We continue to hear ways that people are hurt, wounded, and pained in their lives, and little by little, we shut the doors. We go back inside and we find ourselves in this community where we can do the insider talk. We can feel comfortable. We can gather in a safe space, knowing that it's okay to tell the stories of Jesus, to reminisce about what has been. And we come into this space just like the disciples, and in some fashion are met again by this resurrected one, who is going to shock us, scare us, and change us yet again on this Sunday after Easter, who is going to show up and say that he is here in our midst. And perhaps it's going to begin quite gently. Peace be with you. when resurrection shows up, it's easy to be unsettled and scared, to have our own experience of shock and awe. But precisely there we hear a word of peace that greets us and claims us and begins to help us reimagine what happened a week ago or the week before that. What happens as we hear of this Jesus who will not let us go, but breaks in even when we are tested and tried by the powers of this world, even when we are fearful of what others will say, even when in our hearts there is a brokenness and a pain. Then Jesus enters in and claims us again in resurrection. Now we know that some people aren't here. Some people aren't here with us today. Some who have gone on this journey with us. And there's always that question of saying, can you prove it? Can you prove this resurrection story? This one who was dead and how new life has broken in? Can you do that for me? The Thomases. And I always struggle with this because we always give Thomas a bad rap. We don't think about Mary Magdalene or the other disciples on Easter morning, even doubting and struggling. We end up with this Thomas who's trying to figure things out, who's kind of missed out just by not being in the right place at the right time a week earlier. But he is, in a sense, the one who asks the question for us, saying, I just want to see it. I just want to see this Jesus one more time. I just want to see that new life break in and claim me, touch me one more time. If I could just feel those nail holes, that would be enough. Or if I could just put my hand in that side, I would know. Aren't there those days and those times where we just want that certainty? Where we want to be in that place to know that God is there in our midst in all of the wonder and the brokenness? Those days where we struggle with faith, with what it means to trust God. Those days where we wonder if there could just be a little bit more in the midst of our hurts, our pains, in the midst of our daily living. And so we come with Thomas, and again we enter into community with the disciples, and Jesus shows